It's 122.
Oh, terrible ball.
That'll go again. 4 to Stoinis. Tate. Oh, goodness. Chris Lynn has taken the wild thing and sent him possibly into the roof. Keys went again. Oh, believe it. That is the best catch you'll see.
There he is now, Jordan Silk. The best finisher in Australia, Richard Chronic says.
Jordan Silk takes one of the great catches.
You are now listening to the SuperCoach Experience.
Hopefully we win this game and we can have a drink after. Don't bluff, baby.
I'm not blushing.
What is up, and welcome to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, and I am joined here by nearly a full panel, a full BBL SuperCoach panel, and I have brought some royalty to the table. Mikey and Jake, they are flying this season, and we finally lined up a time slot to get you guys on. So how are you guys? Let's start with Jake, who is currently ranked 12th at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great start. It's, like every SuperCoach involves a lot of luck. I've got all the top captaincies. I had Felipe in round 1. That was Matt Short round 2, and then just had Maxi, which is kind of going to be the difference between me and Mikey in terms of rank. He went a different way, so we'll get to him. But yeah, 12th. This round, or the next round, is going to be a bit of a struggle, but there's a lot more rounds to sort of make up for me. So hopefully I can make it 2 from 2 for the SuperCoach experience in terms of SuperCoach.
So I kind of haven't had the chance to talk to you guys about tactics on the podcast, but Jake, do you feel like compared to NRL SuperCoach, BBL SuperCoach is a lot more thinking, or is it a lot more luck that you think is involved with it?
I mean, it involves a lot of luck, but I guess it's quicker thinking. Apart from this round where we've got like a 3-day break, I think it's one round finishes and then the next day the next round starts. So you kind of have to make your decisions pretty quickly and planning a couple rounds ahead. But I guess now it's sort of a bit of a relaxation thing where we can kind of go through our strategies a bit more.
It's kind of every round is you got to kind of play it as the ball comes, figuratively speaking. Mikey, how have you been tackling this? And have you you're more of a planner, so this kind of really works well for you, this kind of format of SuperCoach?
Yeah, well, it's good to get back on with you guys. I know it's been a tough struggle. I know, Sabs, you've changed your job. I've started a new place, so it's been really hectic to get it on. But yeah, man, I love the Big Bash. It's a totally different style of play, and to be honest, when I started playing this, I learned everything from you. I didn't know much about cricket, but basically, I am a SuperCoach player. I love the strategy. I love the I like the statistics, and I basically just every season with BBL, I use a formula, my own formula, and it works a treat every season. I think I finished in the top 1,000 3 in a row. Come 30th, 33rd or 34th last year overall. So I've started off on a flyer again, and I messed up last round. Yeah, I wasn't happy about it. I thought, okay, I was sitting at 465 last round. So, okay, let's go for a bite this week. Stoinis had that one game, didn't look so good from injury. I was like, all right, he's going to bounce back. It was literally at the last second, I was going back and forth between Stoinis and Maxi, and I turned to my missus and go, what should I do? Go on my gut, on my head, and I listened to my missus, and it was the wrong call. I was that close to putting it on Maxi. So I managed to get 870.
Blames and misses.
Yeah, I am, but no, it's my fault. I managed to bang out 877 with Captain Stoinis, which is huge. I finished for the round. I managed to scrape in, and I only lost 600 spots, so I'm coming 1,067. So if I captain Maxi instead of Stoinis, I end up with almost 1,100 points, and I go into the top 100. I kind of worked it out, so I'm spewing, but I'm happy that my mistake didn't cost me too much. So the lesson learned is I'm going to jump on the favorite this week. I'm going to captain Mitch Marsh, and I've been planning 1 week ahead. I think with SuperCoach, it's more strategy than anything. Yes, it requires luck because you could spend all the money in the world on, let's just say, someone like Chris Lim when he's at top price and he can come out and get a duck. I think that's what hurts so bad about SuperCoach, or we've seen on the weekend, like someone like Tom Curran. I took a risk and sold him early, and he gets a bit of a back spasm. Only balls one over. Happy days for me. But that's just what it is. It's really cutthroat, so that's where the luck comes into it. But strategy-wise, always plan ahead. Like I think if you're grabbing 3 players from one double in 1 week, I don't think your planning's that great. In saying that, I'm doing that this week. But when I started my round 1 side, I made sure I had at least one player from all the doubles looking all the way up to round 5. And when people were selling heat players, my main strategy was to hold 2 heat players because they've got another double coming up with the Hurricane. So that's all. I'm looking 4 or 5 weeks ahead. And if you're not, that's how you will come undone, I reckon. That's how I play it.
See, right now I'm looking 4 or 5 weeks ahead because there's no buys coming up. So except the Stars this week, obviously. So this has been the first time I've been able to look ahead. And obviously I'm a bit further back from you guys. But yeah, my strategy has kind of been I've picked players who I think are good cricketers and have performed well in the Marsh Cup and done well in the one-day format, but I haven't, like players like Matt Short, I never gave them a chance, and I got on them late. I got him in round 2, but I just looked at the history and how they've been performing in the Marsh Cup, and it was really because I do watch a lot of the cricket. I did it based on talent, and I think what is being rewarded at the moment is players that are getting good roles and doing well, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, I didn't really follow much of the Marsh Cup or any of sort of the state cricket level stuff apart from the Big Bash. So I guess that's kind of where we'll be different. I'm just looking at players that will have big roles in the Big Bash sides rather than they're coming in on form, I guess.
100%. I was looking at Josh Felipe before round 1, and I was considering leaving him out because his form leading up to it wasn't that great. He did score 1 ton, but he wasn't looking like he was scoring constantly well. So I was considering leaving him out. So the first round I didn't VC him. I VC'd someone else who didn't score very well. Actually, no, I captained Chris Lynn, and Josh Felipe absolutely killed it. And Chris Lynn, I've been watching a lot of cricket leading up to it. He's done nothing leading up to it. So I don't know why I went that direction, but I think the tactic you guys are taking is really well. So looking ahead at round 4 with the double game week of the Perth Scorchers, and then the Hurricanes and the Heat have double game weeks coming up in the next few weeks. What sort of players are you guys looking at? We'll look at ranked 12th first. It's very different having Jake as the big
ranked
dog
so well,
on the panel.
The main man.
I'll catch him.
It feels weird. Yeah, Mikey probably this week actually, because I don't have any Scorchers coming into this round, so I'm bringing in the 3. I'm expecting to drop a bit this week. I've already said that at the start. So bringing in 3. The injuries to Paris and I guess potentially Curran. I think the long day break, I guess, might mean that Curran might be all right, so might be able to squeeze him in, and hopefully he's all right to go. But I think Mitch Marsh is going to be the one everyone brings in. He's probably going to be captained by the most people, so I'll probably play it safe and go Mitch Marsh as captain as well. Andrew Ty, Behrendorff. I think Mills was rumoured not to play both of them, but apparently they've cleared it, so they're not playing. They're the Perth game in Perth, so he's
playing in
Hobart. So he's an brilliant option. He's a quick bowler and seems to get a lot of wickets bowling at like good times for bowlers, like when people are trying to, I guess, smash it. Agar in there as well. He's looked all right. He's getting 4 overs and collecting some wickets. And then I guess ahead, I'm not looking until I guess the next week where we've got 6 trades to bring in your Heat and your Hurricanes. So at the moment I'm just purely looking at Perth Scorchers. And I think I'm, 1 or 2 already behind in terms of having Scorchers players for the next round.
Mikey, I'll go to you on this. Do you feel like getting in, if you're looking to make up ground and you're looking at getting in 3 Scorchers players this week, is there a viable option to possibly go the other way and get in a Heat player early or something like that? Because I've found if you load up on double game week players, you're potentially stepping on your own foot. Players like if you're getting 2 opening bowlers that bowl in the death, it's likely only one of them is going to be able to get wickets. How have you found that sort of tactic, and what are you looking at going forward?
I see what you're thinking, and I can see both sides of it, but you have to focus on double game. I had all my success last year from relying on double game plays and then having a super pod in there. Like I had Hales nearly the whole way when he was banging 100. So I think with it, take all the double game plays you are. I don't think look and consider it, only 2 of them got to get wickets. You just got to think, say you've got Ty and Agar. And Agar has a blinder, but Ty doesn't. At least you're making up ground there. You're giving yourself a higher percentage chance. And pods are key. Like, who the hell would have, not many people started with Sam Heaslett and kept playing him. He's made like 30K. Like, look, I don't like any of these players. I like some of these players. I don't really know much about them, but I go, yep, that price is right. I like where they're batting. I'm going to pick him. And it's as simple as that. Same with Bartlett. I thought he'd have a bigger role this year. And, yeah, this week, like the thing is with Scorchers, I think why it's important to have 4 Scorchers minimum is purely because they don't have a bye the next week. So the Scorchers have such a wide variety of players to choose from, like Marsh, Ty, Inglis, Monroe. A lot of these guys you can hold, and next week you wouldn't have to like flip them around because most weeks we're bringing in guns, flipping them to make other guns. But this is a week where you can bring the guns in. Marsh has a very low break even. He's in the minuses. Agar has a very low breaking. And so you can bring in these double plays and make cash while scoring points. And especially if you're ahead or you're trying to make up ground, you're not going to do it if you don't have that. And I like what you said about looking ahead with the heat plays, but you have 6 trades after this week to worry about that. And you wouldn't be in this position if you pre-planned before it. Example, I'm holding 2 Heat and a Hurricanes player right now. So I can just focus on that. And next week when other people might go bring in Hales and that, I'll be purely like focusing on getting 8 or 9 Heat or Hurricane plays, because that round 6, I think it is, that's going to be the pivotal. That's going to be the pivotal round to either for me cement myself in the top 100 or for other people to make up ground, because we saw how much points you can score in a double game week where there's lots of points on offer. The Hurricanes, man, like you've got Wade, Short, McDermott, and then on the other flip of the coin, you got Uraman coming down in price. You've got Lynn, Steckity will be back, Neeser could be back. Like there, you could field 9 quality options if you can fit them in your budget, because those 3 Hurricane players I mentioned are all expensive, and I'm going to be doing everything I can to do it. Even if I have to say goodbye to Sams or Maxwell, I'll do it, because I think that's a pivotal round. And my other advice would be hold on to your strikers, because they also have another double coming up in 4 weeks. So just kind of think with the cheapies on your bench, it doesn't matter if it's someone like Nilsson. Hold them if they've got a double. Just ride on, unless it's someone like Agar after this round. You might look to sell Agar because he's made a stack of cash, and his history in the BBL, he hasn't taken many wickets. So compared to how long he's been playing. Back over to you, Sabs.
What I've been looking at this week, the reason I ask you is because I've got in Marsh, I've got in Ty. I'm looking at players like Randolph, Colin Munro, and Ashton Agar, and they don't really appeal to me that much. Like, I feel like there's a player that's got a single game week this week that can outscore them or kind of match them. And what I've done is I've got in Marsh, Ty, and my third player I've got in is Chris Lynn. Looking towards round his double game week, he hasn't set the world on fire yet, and we know that it takes him 1 round to absolutely blitz it and get 100+ score, and then he's on an absolute roll. I'm looking at the bowling lineup for the Thunder coming up, and that's who they're playing in round 1. Got the vice captaincy on him, and I think he can be a real pod captain option if he absolutely blitzes it. So that's my thought process here. It's kind of, instead of stacking up on the players that everyone else is stacking up on, I'm kind of going another route because I'm a little bit behind. So it's kind of, just trying to get ahead by not getting ahead, if that makes sense.
I feel like
I could put you behind. Yeah, I don't like it at all, because Chris Lynn is Brandon's version of Tommy Turbo, and he lets his love for certain players cloud his mind. And I do like that move, because if what Sab's predicted comes true, he's in a good spot. But I'd rather take a stab at someone like Inglis, who's a bit more of a pod, but he plays twice. So you get 2 bites of the cherry. He batted horribly and still managed to get 42 points because of his gloves. So I believe same thing again. I don't like that he's batting at 4, but hey, 4 might, one game's out of the way. People, don him as like, a future test player. You know what I mean? The thing is, I like him compared to Munro. I'd just rather take 2 bites at the cherry. I'm kind of cold on Munro. If I could afford Munro, I'd do it because I think not trading Maxwell is a must this week. You need Maxwell for that next week. He's that kind of player. If you don't have him, he could really hurt you. So I think you've really got to hold him. I said goodbye to all my other Stars players. But yeah, Munro, we saw it through him last year. He went and banged out 150 SuperCoach points, and then he couldn't get over 10. So we saw it happen last game, and yeah, he's just really rocks or diamonds, and he could be someone that could sting me a little bit, but I feel like he's a perfect anti-pod this week. And yeah, you go a pod in someone cheaper like Inglis, Patterson. They've got so many good players. Tymel Mills as well. Didn't have much luck at the Hurricanes, but he's having luck at the Scorchers. So the good thing with the Scorchers and why I don't like anti-potting the Scorchers is because there's so many. There's like 7 of them that are a genuine option. So that's why I think you've got to have 3 to 4. Or you've got to have 4, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
The reason I'm going, sorry, you go, Jake.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, with the Scorchers, in every game, they've got their 10 wickets. Like, they've bowled their teams out. So I think
Bowlers
you'll
are
have a
crazy.
couple of their bowlers. So, I mean, giving up a Tymel Mills to get a Chris Lynn, I think is a bit of a kind of a behind the 8-ball move. And I guess with the Scorchers, even with their batting lineup, we can kind of wait because you kind of will be trading your Stars to your Scorchers players. So you can wait until that second game, see what batting lineup they're going. If Inglis is opening, then he's going to be a great option just to bring in him instead of, I don't know, I think they had Patterson opening or something in the last game who historically hasn't played that well while opening. So
Yep.
Yeah, I think he could get switched back into the opening, and I think it's worth a stab if he doesn't, because you've got to try and look for these low percentage plays. I think you go insurance policies in Ty and Marsh this week, just to cover it. And I learnt last week, go with a safe captain option. There's going to be a week where you change it, but yeah, I think also there is a world where you could consider Alex Hales as well. If I know the Chris Lynn provides a double, but Hales. Thunder play nearly every week, and Hales will bounce back. They're playing the Heat. Yeah, they are at the Gabba, but his big score's coming, and you're going to have to get on him and sacrifice a double game player at some point. This could be the week to do it at 110-ish K.
And just like the Viliami kick out being an absolute mega pod at the end of the year, is Alex Hales, the coach of the Hailstorm, Jake, is he someone you need to consider eventually anyway?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the Thunder play the double game week sort of at the end. So, I mean, he probably won't be until after, I guess, the Heat and Hurricanes one. So after round 6 is sort of when you get your free run at bringing whoever you want in. And that's probably when I'm going to be targeting my team names player.
Very good. I think just back to the point of getting in players like Josh Inglis and Tymel Mills and things like that. Players like that have completely put me off. Daniel Hughes with the double game week in round 1. Joe Clark last week absolutely burnt me. Got 20 points, and that was in 2 catches in the first game. Got 2 ducks pretty much. So I think I'm trying to concentrate on getting in quality players instead of just going for the double game week player, because there are certain players that just get on this run of form and on the other side of run of form, a bad run of form, and you don't want to be on that side of the cherry with these sorts of players and have to sell them the next week for 30K less is what I've done with Joe Clark. And I haven't been able to get rid of Daniel Hughes because he's now down at bottom dollar. And I mean, hopefully
I got rid of him after that performance in the first week.
I've still got him as well, so.
Oh, he
does something to make money.
He had a blinder last week, 1 catch and 11 runs. So he's on the way up, and he can only go up from where he is now. But looking forward, what sort of players are you looking towards for the double game week for the Heat and the Hurricanes? Are you looking at, obviously there's the usual subjects, like you said, Mikey, Matt Wade, Darcy Short. I'd like to bring up one that I'm heavily considering. Scott Boland, he didn't actually play that well, and he's lost a bit of cash, but I don't know. He's really grown on me, and I like the look of him. Is there any players that you're looking at, Jake?
Well, I've already sort of like Mikey. I've kept my Hurricanes and my Heat, or some of my Heat. I had to get rid of some to sort of get the double week players, but I still got what's his name? The bowler. Bartlett. So I've got Bartlett, still got Darcy Short. So it's going to be the must-haves, I guess, which will probably be maybe, your Chris Lynn, Matty Wade, and then I guess depending on what sort of prices they're going to be at, if you can find some, some value in sort of some players that have dropped, or like even Majib, if he comes down, he's going to be a good pickup again. Like everyone had him for round one, and he kind of had a bit of a stinker, but he can get wickets. And I've noticed sort of like bowlers, I guess, are more reliable than your batsmen, because just like Joe Clark, 2 ducks and you get a 0. With bowlers, you just bowling a dot ball, you get at least 1 point. So, and they're likely to take a wicket eventually. They're in the field again for catches, and if a team's getting rolling, come in and bat. So, bowlers I've realised are a lot more reliable, and you should put your all rounders in your batsmen as well, which it's kind of panned out all right.
Have we emphasised on the guns too much from last season? Majib and Rashid Khan are prime examples. Absolute guns last season, and they haven't produced at all this season. Are they going to produce that massive double game week for us, or is it something like batsmen have figured them out?
No, they'll bounce back. They'll have their weeks where they do really well, and it's just picking the time. Like Rashid was someone that you'd always have to hold, and after his scores, I'm happy to sit on him, but he will bounce back. And Majib, if he comes at a right price, I think he's someone you need to target. I also think, it's smart to go 2 batters, 2 bowlers from each side, but I'm really thinking that I want to try and fit in those 3 Hurricane batters, because if I take 3 of them in, I'm guaranteed to get a big score of one of them. I'm very interested in that week. I think that's a week to take a pod captain, because you could go McDermott when no one else does, or you could go there's going to be some big guys to take as captain. But other than Boland, I don't mind Boland. I'm looking at Ellis. I think if I take another bowler, I'm looking at Ellis. I've just got my fingers crossed that Joel Paris recovers from this kind of strain. I'm going to hold him and kind of hope, because he's the only Hurricanes I've got. We haven't really got much word about it. It says TBC still on all the injury reports. So.
I think it's a hammy sort of thing, so I think it's like 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm not too sure when the rounds. It's not a week-to-week round, so I'm not too sure when the rounds sort of fall into that.
They're all getting a rest, thanks to the Ashes. There's no more BBL till Sunday, so I guess that's good for all the players to get a bit off. So I guess if you got Paris, we made a bit of money. Hold on, or we made 40K, but you want to kind of hold on for that round.
All right, sweet. We've been going for 23 minutes. BBL podcast is obviously a lot shorter than the NRL one. Just before we go, players to look out for in the upcoming rounds. I'll start with you, Mikey.
We've already spoken about the guys this round. And obviously, I've made it quite clear I'll be just targeting Heat and Hurricanes players. I think outside of those, as I said before, I think Hales is someone good to target. But I'm gonna go with guys that have done really well for me in the past. And Steckity and Ellis are 2 guys that have always been great pods for me. So I'll pick up Steckity probably over Uraman, and I'll pick up maybe Ellis, because he just seems to keep getting wickets. He's young, and he was one of my best pods last season. So they're the 2 guys, 2 kind of pods I'll be looking out for. But I'd also be looking at Wade and Short this week. Have a look at their break evens. If you've got already 2 Scorchers, I'd pick up one of those 2 this week, because their break evens are pretty low, and they're guys that can go a ton like that. Matthew Wade's scary. I had him in my side, and I switched him to Nabi last minute. So it's not a good move, but it is what it is.
Jake, how about you?
The one you sort of mentioned about bringing this week, I wouldn't be doing, but Chris Lynn, he did look good in his innings this week. And kind of got out cheaply. He was smashing them all over the park. And I think even against the Thunder, he could go big, but he could also get out for 8. But I'll be looking at him. If he can sort of show the signs that he showed last innings, then he's going to kill it. Another one, Hurricanes. I think Riley Meredith, is back for them this week. So I'm curious to see how he goes. I know he's a fast bowler. He was taking plenty of wickets for him in the last BBL. So I'll be keen to look at him, see how he goes as well for that double game week.
Very good. And obviously, I've said Chris Lynn, and there's honestly Zahir Khan is one. Renegades don't really have a double game week until later on, which is
Well, they're one of the few teams, to not have a break. So that's what's good about them.
They don't have a bye. Zahir Khan is honestly, he's performing every single week, and Kane Richardson will come into account at some point as well. But yeah, apart from that, there's not really much of interest, obviously, beside Chris Lynn. Captains this week, guys, Mitch Marsh. Are we going to change it up a bit?
I think there's a world where you can captain someone like Ty, but no, like you can't. Like Marsh got that score and he didn't bowl. And, if there's a few guys, it depends on their bowling lineup. If they use the same bowling lineup, I don't think he'll bowl many overs. But depending on what they do with their lineups, there's a chance Marsh could bowl. So you've got to go for the all-rounder there. Marsh, he's scary to, You got to, it's got to be Marsh.
First game in after smashing the World Cup, scoring 100, I think. Yeah, it's dangerous not to go Marsh the way he was hitting them on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not even going to do the VC. I'm just going to lock and load it. I'm not interested.
Yeah, well, I've got the VC. I'm the only Heat player, but I don't intend to using it at all. That's sure. Being 12th, I don't think I can go risky. No way. Very
good. Cheers for listening, guys. We're so close to doing an NRL podcast today, which just fell through, but I think it's a little bit early for it. Don't you reckon? It's a little bit early.
I know Timmy doesn't look at anything till later in the year, and I'm going to do the same thing. I want to do well at Big Bash, so I'm going to put all my focus into that.
So me and
Sav's going to help ourselves. We already had a ponder, didn't we?
We may do one little one just leading up to December, but expect us back in January for that sort of stuff. So thanks for listening, guys, and enjoy your SuperCoach.